Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast, the coolest wrestling podcast on the planet. I'm Santi, that's Sancho. We are on the week of WrestleMania, folks. Just know that we did upload a separate hour-long predictions video for WrestleMania 41. That is not what this episode of the podcast will be. We'll be talking about other things going on in the WWE, but if you're looking for our predictions, that is in a separate upload. So go check that out. So you're just getting more Wrestling is Cool this week. Sancho, how are you?
Oh, brother, I have an announcement to make. You know, remember way back in the day, you're like, oh, by the way, I'm off this train. I never want to be on the New Day train. Well, Santi, now you have an opportunity to jump on the Karrion Kross train, brother. That train keeps on thriving. And Karrion Kross, my God, thriving on Twitter all of a sudden. Everyone's talking about Karrion Kross purposely losing to AJ Styles, putting his hands behind the back, fighting for the soul of wrestling fans everywhere, talking about Logan has to lose, AJ has to win because pro wrestling is what's it all about. I've spent 11 years in this business trying to get here to the WWE, and you got Logan Paul just waltzing right in. And he's like, if that was the case, we should have just been YouTube stars. Holy fire promo made on Twitter. Amazing stuff from Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is the future after the WWE, my friend. I am laying that down on the line. I'm a glazing early, my friend.
I mean, I'm not opposed to Karrion Kross. I feel like this is far more interesting than what's been going on with before with the Wyatt Six and with the Yeah, I'm on the Karrion train. I'm on the Karrion train. I think this is interesting. You know what? Is it a crazy statement to make that the storyline between Karrion and AJ has been more interesting than AJ and Logan? Like, that's more interesting in terms of like narrative pieces and what they've been talking about. So yeah, I was never really off like the Karrion Kross specific train. I was always off the Final Testament. That thing with the Wyatt Six, that wasn't working. I think it's kind of crazy that was Karrion Kross's first singles match on Monday Night Raw since like June of 2024. That was his Raw Netflix debut. Like his actual Raw Netflix debut, because his last match was in December before they moved to Netflix.
You got to think about it as well. Who would have thought the survivor of the Wyatt Six, the Final Testament, is Karrion Kross? Nobody. Probably me, I would have predicted it, but nobody else would have said Karrion Kross would survive because Wyatt Six were. Where are they?
I don't know where they are. I mean, we can talk more about the Wyatt Six and more about the Karrion Kross train, but before we do, folks, this is the Wrestling is Cool podcast, coolest podcast on the planet, a podcast that goes to your ears every single week, but it could be earlier, 3 days earlier, in fact, over on patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, you get the podcast early. The WrestleMania predictions were uploaded early this week. You're also getting the Raw reviews with footage, the SmackDown reviews with footage, 5 weekly WrestleMania five weekly match club matches. This week just happens to be WrestleMania week. Thank you, Sancho. And then the ongoing Royal Rumble reviews and the currently ongoing and almost done Undertaker watch along. So go check it out. For $5, you get everything that we upload. We do not gatekeep content on different tiers. $5 gets you every piece of content that we do. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support. But folks, let's jump into the episode. It is the go home week of WrestleMania. Most of what there is to talk about is the predictions, which we've already done. But let's just talk about the actual build to WrestleMania, what we felt about each individual match here. Because I feel like and I feel like we're doing this to ourselves, comparing it to WrestleMania 40. Comparing it to WrestleMania 40 is just like an impossible task to compare this Mania or any other Mania to, because the build to WrestleMania 40 is so legitimately like once in a lifetime. I know like that's a overused term in professional wrestling, but that was the best build to any show that I've ever seen. And this Mania is more reminiscent of some previous Manias in the past. And there's some stuff that feels like it's fully fleshed, some stuff that feels like it's entirely way too rushed. So I kind of want to hand over the floor to you, what you've thought about the overall build to this year's WrestleMania. You made some interesting points in our predictions video when we were initially like getting it going.
Yeah, I kind of want to take this moment in the podcast to break down each individual match and just give it a grade. Like, just legit give it a grade. I think that WWE has seen a little bit of the error of their ways by not having very hefty PLE cards, by only having 4 to 5 matches. We were asking this question: what's the result? What's the consequence of it? Because we have never ever really seen that before in a WWE world. And now that we're here, we're seeing that, well, it creates a logjam at Mania, like we mentioned before. And more importantly, when you miss Mania and you're not on PLEs, what's that say? It feels like it's a top heavy promotion when the WWE only puts the biggest storylines on PLEs and saves the mid card, the lower card for a go home episode or weekly television, so that by the time we're at this point and you're like, oh my God, so-and-so is not on the card, so-and-so on the card, you feel like it's been a disservice. You're like, wow, they've been carrying weekly television. Why are they not on the card? But I feel that the WWE has a tendency in Triple H's kind of world, which I'm shocked that Triple H took a shot at the internet, wrestling the WIC. Bam, he literally hit us in the face with that podcast that he did about how he feels that the internet's the internet and it's its own echo chamber, while he only pays attention to the crowd, the 15,000 people that are in the audience. But at the same time, I do feel like you can't ignore the internet when it comes to criticisms and things of that sort. I mean, I think that there are healthy conversations you could have in regards to criticisms of a build or a mania or an angle or a segment, whatever, right? So the point I want to, we approach this in this little dissertation of the builds is just have an open mind and that how we're going to kind of judge it as if it is in a bubble, because you're right. You can't compare it to 40, my friend. 40 was really great, and you got to remember the Pat McAfee shows, the press conferences, and all that led up to this. I feel like this time around, we haven't had those outside organic builds to this moment here. We've had a little bit of social media stuff here and there, but nothing as focused. And I think that's because 40 was about one story, Cody Rhodes finishing the story, and everybody else was kind of just the appetizers, like I mentioned before. Now we have some places most people will be like, you know what, I'm not really interested in John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Some people are like, I don't want to see the triple threat. I want to see Damian and Drew, or I want to see the ladies triple threat, or I want to see Jey and Gunther. Like they have their favorites now. Whereas 40, we're all waiting for the end, right? That's what everybody was there for.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you mentioned like the lead up to 40 and how it had all of these extra pieces of I don't know what the word is, extra ability, extra areas for it to to develop and build, like that Las Vegas press conference, The Rock's Instagram all of a sudden became like a hub to build WrestleMania. We don't really have those things going on this year, which is why I say that this is more of a traditionally built WrestleMania with some stuff that is quite top heavy and some stuff that had very little to almost no tender love and care. It's also fascinating, I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy in what Triple H said about, he doesn't listen to online doesn't matter, that it's just, a vacuum. Literally Mania 40 was built off the back of internet backlash. Like the whole We Want Cody movement did not start in the stands. Like it didn't. If you go back to when The Rock took the spot, the crowd was cheering. They were. It wasn't until they got home and they got to kind of like process what they just saw that they realized that they watched straight up highway robbery and somebody get cucked on live TV. The fans online are the ones that drove the hashtag We Want Cody movement. So it's just, I get why he says that, right? Because at the end of the day, like it is the people that go to the shows that they are the ones that are the revenue drivers at the end of the day. They are the ones actually ponying up record levels of costs to go to these WWE shows. And they are, for the most part, the ones that really dictate who's over, who's not over, who's popular, who isn't, as opposed to the internet fan base. But there is a lot of value to kind of hearing, at least having your ear on the ground as to what the online fandom is saying. There is a lot of crap out there. There is a lot of loud vocal minorities that are voicing things that that will never resonate. But there are things being said amongst online fans that should resonate, that are true. Like, for example, when the fans online say that the SmackDown Tag Team division deserves to be at WrestleMania, is that really the online fan base being toxic and being ill-informed? No, I would say no. But when the online fan base says something like, why is Rhea Ripley in this match? She doesn't deserve to be in that match. That's stupid. Yeah, that's a vacuum. That's something you shouldn't listen to. But I do think that there are things that are being driven by the online community they should be listened to, because they really can be a good look as to how the overall fan base actually feels and behaves like.
I think the WWE as well, if you dip your toes into social media, when you post heel turns online, you are encompassing this world into it.
Facts.
You're
Kevin Owens heel
inviting us.
turn.
Exactly. You're inviting us into this world. So we are a part of the WWE universe, whether you like it or not. The thing about it, though, it's not necessarily where this narrative of The Rock going, just sit down and shut up and enjoy the ride, enjoy The Rock's final boss's ride that he's going to take you. I think that is a slippery slope. You know, we cannot just shut up and enjoy the ride, because sometimes if this ride takes a bad turn, we do have the ability to course correct, as we talked about Cody Rhodes. But there are still glaring things that the WWE needs to acknowledge at one point, that they did make a slip up. And the biggest thing that they need to acknowledge, Santi, is why did they introduce 2 mid-card titles for the ladies and not have them in a match at Mania for the title? Perplexing.
It's not even why don't they have a match? Why didn't they even try? Like, there was not even an attempt to create anything worthy of being on the WrestleMania card. And it's not just the women's mid-card titles that are facing that. There are 2 titles that are on this card that like are also perplexing why they didn't try, the women's tag team and the world tag teams from Monday Night Raw. And one of the things that I mentioned is that I think it's weird that they weren't able to develop anything for those women's mid-card titles, or develop anything of substance for those 2 tag titles that I just mentioned, when this is the longest road to WrestleMania that we've ever had. This is the deepest into the year that we've had a WrestleMania. You had an extra 2 or 3 episodes of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown to develop something, and there was no intent, no attempt, no, dare I say, care. And I've always been of the mind, if you, the WWE, have shown us that you don't care about X, how can you expect the fans to care about X when you put it on the show?
Yeah, I think it's so why don't we just look at the grades per the feud, per matches, and just give it an overall grade. I think we could just take this off the table. Liv Morgan, Raquel, Bayley, Lyra, below
F.
D, right?
No, it's an F. There's no build. There's no attempt. No tender love and care. Putting the gauntlet match to be 45 minutes as like a last second ditch attempt to try and tell us a lie that there is a women's tag team division. There isn't. They fed us a lie by putting a bunch of women that aren't tag teams together into a tag team gauntlet, and the only tag team that has legacy as a tag team hasn't been featured on TV forever in the Party Girls.
And
it's
Shayna
an F to me.
and Zoe. And Shayna and Zoe.
They also fall under what I just said, that they haven't been featured on TV for months.
I feel like when you get rid of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, and you get rid of PFC's Sonya Deville, that's a glaring omission. I mean, if they had those and they put them in the gauntlet, maybe we'll give them a passing grade on that. Let's go with the War Raiders, Eric Ivar and the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier. What would be your grade?
Like, are we talking like build?
Yes,
like,
just the build. That's what I'm saying. Like,
those two are Fs. Like, they didn't try. They didn't care. We talked about the fact that there could be something big for War Raiders and New Day, that being the potential return of Big E. But if we're just talking the build, it's a failing grade. It's an F.
And I think a lot of it is the New Day's momentum. The launch pad off the heel turn didn't really lead to them to have a scary, like, we need to overcome them for the War Raiders to overcome. And I feel like the War Raiders, like, they beat Judgment Day, right? And they really didn't do much after that. And I still don't like that. A lot of this build, I feel, fell a little short, and we'll go more into detail, is that the Raw Go Home, a lot of it was done in vignettes. And then the feuds that didn't need vignettes, that needed more in-ring, got a vignette. And it was, like, really weird. Like, Rhea Ripley, Io, and Bianca needed more ring time, but instead they got vignettes. Jey and Gunther probably could have used a really sick vignette, and instead they got in ring time, which didn't backfire with Jey Uso. So it's kind of interesting to look at the vehicle of a vignette, and I think the last Monday Night Raw's Go Home they leaned in too much of it. Let's take a look at Rey Mysterio and El Grande Americano. I'm going to give this a B plus.
Yeah,
solid build. I love the fun of it because remember this started earlier with Rey and Chad Gable, where Chad Gable would attack Rey, take off the mask, or lock in the ankle lock, and for a couple months ago, led to Chad Gable losing to Rey, then Chad Gable going to Mexico to find the secret dark arts, and then this strange, mysterious luchador coming out of nowhere, El Grande Americano. A little bit of a controversy with the use of AI in the Gulf of America type of thing, and the mariachi music, but I think it's going to lead to a very fun match, and I still think there was a lot of tender love and care. And one of the biggest surprises is the Joaquin and the Del Toros and the Julius and Brutus actually got some good rub, and Ivy Nile had some good opportunities jumping into the IC picture for a little bit. So I'm going to give that a B+.
Yeah, I like the story that was being told here. I like the story of Chad Gable specifically, like his journey, his losses, his desire to try and figure out a way to take out luchadors. I like this wackiness with El Grande Americano. I really like that it's playing into the wacky nature of what could potentially be a Chad Gable. We don't know. It's alleged.
We don't know.
But it just reminds me so much of Kurt Angle, when Kurt Angle would dive into the wackiness, into the kookiness, and it just worked because Kurt Angle was so charismatic and was capable of doing that type of work while also just being vicious in the ring. And I feel like we're seeing some of that here with Chad Gable. Like, I remember the feud between Undertaker and Kurt Angle, where Kurt Angle would mock the American Badass and come out in a moped instead of coming out in a motorcycle, right? Like, it was dumb, it was silly, but it just worked because of the charisma of a Kurt Angle. And all of this is working off the back of the charisma of Chad Gable. And it's a charisma that is kind of spreading across American Made as well. I feel like those guys are kind of starting to sponge up that charisma as well. Obviously, from an in-ring, I think this is going to be an excellent match. I would love for this to be under 10 minutes, just like a really, really fast-paced, great Lucha Libre style match with some technical wrestling. I think the one thing I'm looking forward to the most is on that giant stage, WrestleMania, hearing El Grande Americano's theme. That's insane that we're gonna be getting that. But yeah, I would give this like a B. I don't know that I'll go B+. I'll give this a B. I've enjoyed this feud for what it is.
For sure. Next up, we have Jade Cargill and Naomi. I'm gonna go ahead and give this an A. Like a solid A. I think the only glaring issue was when Jade was out, the WWE really didn't seem to bring her up a lot. They didn't really talk about her injuries, her hospital stay. I feel like the biggest omission to it all is that, of course, Jade would know who it was because she's the only eyewitness to it all.
Yeah, like she never died. So we were eventually going to figure out who it was.
Right. And then, of course, that the reason why it gets the biggest A from me is two things. One, the Elimination Chamber was great. Like the horror moment of Jade Cargill coming in and then Bianca screaming her head off and Naomi getting destroyed. That was sick. And then Naomi getting out of the chamber early. That was fun. And then, of course, the heel turn of Naomi was able to pull off on that promo with Bianca. And that was really cool that she did it. I did it for Bianca. Like, that was fun. And then the biggest cherry on top of it all is that we got this surprising new heel to play, like a new toy in Naomi that I think is going to do wonders. I'm just hoping that the match delivers. It's interesting that from all these builds, even though some of these are poor builds, I know the match will deliver. I'm not sure if Jade and Naomi are going to deliver because the build has been so good, you know?
Yeah. If I'm counting like just at like from Elimination Chamber on, I think this is an A+. Like, you know, like the big reveal of Jade Cargill returning, that vicious attack, the awesome promo that we got from Bianca Belair and Naomi, the back and forth beatdowns between Naomi and Jade Cargill have been just honestly a lot of fun. The transformation of Naomi into this character that she's ultimately become, which I've voiced this. I think this version of Naomi is infinitely more valuable and has a higher ceiling than the Glow Naomi. This is a one-of-one Naomi, as opposed to Naomi being the Glow, happy-go-lucky, being like the 6th, 7th most popular babyface on the roster. This has done wonders for the character of Naomi, the worker Naomi, and has also so far made Jade Cargill look like a star. So in terms of the build, it's done a great job at elevating both women from a grassroots, like ground up, no title on the line, no glitz, no glamour. I think this is the best built feud of WrestleMania. I'm giving it an A+.
The next one we have up in the card is LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. I don't know. This is a strange one for me because the build has been as if it was in a fog. Like it appeared every now and then, and you're like, "What are we doing here?" And then all of a sudden, the fog dissipates, and then we have Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. I mean, remember like Damian at some point was sticking his nose in the mid card, and even Drew. We're like, "Wow, the Drew's now here in the mid card." I feel that this is a B- for me, and the reason why is because I thought the build was leading to a multi-man match. I thought we would have like a ladder match. I thought LA Knight would be able to at least have a good reason why if he were to lose. But now that it's a singles match, I think that you're not going to have it's going to be really hard to protect LA Knight in this situation.
Right.
Either he could lose like easily, cleanly by Jacob Fatu, or he loses by the hand of Solo. There's scenarios here that LA Knight does not look great. Whereas there's more scenarios that Jacob Fatu is going to look phenomenal, which is not, I'm not upset at that. But the build for this, I feel like it was shrouded in too much mystery, and we did not get enough time with LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. I think if we had another week, or maybe this go home could say something different because we're recording this before the SmackDown go home. There should have been more comedic promos for LA Knight against Jacob Fatu, more making fun of him. But I think the WWE realizes that you can't give LA Knight too much opportunities to step on a landmine because he will. So I think they shorten it to like a week, but I give this like a B-.
I think I'm a little bit lower than you. I'm like C. And I can
saying
verbalize
yes or the letter C?
No, the letter C. C.
Okay,
C is the letter C. C. I can verbalize it. I know why. It's because this hasn't really been built between Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. We barely had any interactions between these two. It's been Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. It's been Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa, right? Like that's been building more than they've actually built Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. Like we've had some stuff with LA Knight and the bloodline
Randy
in
Orton,
general. Yeah, we just had the stuff with Randy Orton just happen. But they've built Jacob Fatu more than they've built the match. And that's why I don't feel like the actual feud is really much to write home about, which is why I'm a bit lower. I'm actually kind of leaning towards C- because I'm kind of like you. I was kind of expecting this to be more of a hodgepodge. Hey, let's throw people together and create something chaotic. Interestingly enough, they did it for Monday Night Raw, which is not the title that I expected them to do it for, and they're doing it successfully. But yeah, this felt more like, if I was grading the buildup of Jacob Fatu, it might be like an A, but the feud, Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, I'm like at an C-.
You would have to pull in the previous feud that LA Knight had with the Bloodline, and it's like if you were going in a time vacuum and tell them, oh, did you know that LA Knight faced Roman Reigns? You'd be like, no way. Like, I don't believe you. LA Knight faced Roman Reigns. Like, yeah, dude, he actually did. He actually got screwed over a lot by the Bloodline, like a Jey Uso. But it's not really brought up a lot during this feud, so I agree. Next one is Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. I know you love this feud. I want to let you go ahead and start this one. What would you give this grade, my friend?
I think I would give this grade a banana. It's not even in the letter scale is what I'm saying. It's so weird. It's so weird that I have to give it a banana as a feud. I like bananas, but bananas weren't what we were going for. We weren't trying
on your face.
Yeah, we weren't trying to get bananas here. we were trying to get a letter grade, and in the process of this mess of a feud, I ended with a banana, and I'm like, I guess I like bananas. This isn't what we originally tried to grow here, though. We were trying to grow a big WrestleMania feud, and what they were doing was just not working. Right off the onset, Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble, what an unforced error. Like, absolutely no one wanted this. And the fact that they were intending for her to come back, win the Rumble, and then try and cut a babyface promo, who's reading the room? Who's writing this? You for somebody that claims that only cares about what the people in the stadium says, clearly you didn't there. Because they gave you pretty much every indication that when she won the Rumble, that they didn't want her to win the Rumble. And then you still tried to carry on with babyface Charlotte, which obviously blew up in their face instantly, which then kind of really shifted things as to like, who's the babyface? Who's the heel here? Who's Charlotte? Like it just right off the onset, it took a face dive and then it couldn't recover up until they accidentally recovered it by getting personal. And when they got personal, once the divorce stuff got there, with as dumb as it was, it still worked with me in terms of creating like, ooh, this is real animosity. The Ludwig Kaiser line, and then they do like the beatdown in the parking garage and whatnot, like that stuff. Okay, I'm in. I'm enjoying this feud. It's a banana though. That's what it is. If you ask me for a letter grade, I can't give it organically higher than a C. That's about as high as I can go, but I'm still like that's a good C. It's a good C.
It reminds me of a great tale in the Peanuts movie. I'm gonna spoil the Peanuts movie for you. Peanuts, okay? Charlie Brown fills out. Charlie Brown takes a test, and he turns it in late because he daydreams, as Charlie Brown often does. And before he fills it out, and then Peppermint Patty does the same thing, and Peppermint Patty was sleeping. Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown turn in their papers, but what ends up happening is Charlie Brown accidentally writes his name on Peppermint Patty's, whereas Charlie Brown's original test that he failed is on Peppermint Patty's. I got a point here. Basically, Charlie Brown gets all the answers right, but he knows in his heart that wasn't his test. So basically, Triple H can act like he had this great build between Tiffany and Charlotte, but it wasn't his test.
It was terrible.
It was not how he got here, you know? So I'm hoping that someone confesses that, hey, this is actually a bad build. Like, this is an F for me. Charlotte didn't play ball. Tiffany didn't play ball. When Charlotte sandbagged, Tiffany went low and lower, and it ended up creating a cluster mess of it all. What's worked for me, though, is the aftermath of the brawl and even the small detail of Charlotte Flair coming out in her street clothes, which I think Charlotte looked amazing. The baggy t-shirt, the Rolex on her wrist, her just destroying, like throwing Tiffany over the I was like, this is an interesting Charlotte Flair. I hated that Wade Barrett stopped that. I hated it. I was like, what's wrong with you, Wade? Would you get in the way of Drew McIntyre from destroying anybody? No. Get out the way, Wade. Unless they're going to build it up that Wade Barrett is just a terrible mediator between everybody. But overall, I'll give this an F.
I think F is entirely fair.
Right,
like I said, like my C is entirely, it's entirely off the fact that I was channel surfing and I accidentally ended up on an episode of Maury and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I guess I'm interested. but I wasn't wanting this.
I always hate watching Judge Judy because you get sucked in the whole entire time. Yeah. It does like, Judge Judy, do you actually want to help these people or do you just want to embarrass them? You're going to put yourself over here, Judge Judy, every time? Next up is Gunther versus Jey Uso, brother.
This is rough.
I didn't bring this up in our predictions, but I think what's more on the line for Jey and Gunther, it's bigger than Jey and Gunther. It's honestly the soul of the Royal Rumble. The soul of Royal Rumble. And it's an odd thing to say because have been Royal Rumble winners that have blundered Mania. Like they had just terrible showings at Manias, terrible card or placement on the cards, terrible matches, right? Just awful all around. Not every Royal Rumble winner is going to be a Cody Rhodes, right? That's just fact. It's been in the past. But brother, if Jey Uso loses to Gunther, and considering that they used one of the biggest star-studded Rumbles according to WWE, and he doesn't win, oh my God. And for that, I think I'm going to give this a C+, just because Jimbo saved this for me, okay? If it wasn't for Jimbo, this would be a D. But because of Jimbo was inserted, slapped the hell out of Gunther, basically beaten down and bloodied, and Gunther was allowed to show his ring general self, I think that. But the only reason why I give it that D is we talked about it in the prediction. It was too hot and cold. It wasn't. It should have been. Everybody's on the same page. When Jey started getting serious, Gunther should have met him with more intensity, and we'd have been building up to this fever pitch. But one guy is serious, the other guy starts to party, the other guy gets melancholy and waspy, and then the other guy gets serious, and it just never clicked. It was never in rhythm for me.
I think the best way to summarize what you just said is that this feud never knew what its identity was. It never knew what it wanted to be. It kept throwing things on the wall and waiting for something to finally stick. And that thing that finally stuck was the involvement of family of Jimmy Uso, which is like so obvious. This was what they should have leaned on right from the beginning. Jey Uso, the guy who's been in WWE pretty much because of family this past like 15 years. Everything he's done has revolved around family. Shocker. Family works again in this scenario because they even tried turning him into a bumbling idiot that forgot how to wrestle. Remember that? Remember how when we're like, well, don't do that. No. That's a terrible idea. But you made a really great point. It's a very, it's almost like when one guy is playing one game, one sport, the other dude is playing another. They're never playing the same ball game at the same time. When Gunther gets nasty and serious like he did on this most recent episode, Jey Uso comes out to party, and like that didn't connect with me. The two previous weeks with the beatdown of Jimmy, the bloody, leaving him into a bloody mess, and then Jey coming out like serious, telling the crowd to stop eating. That's like the 2 weeks where this feud worked. Everything outside of that, every other week, Sancho, this feud sucked. Aside from those 2 weeks, I'm with you. I think I'm D. I would give this a D. It's not a failing grade. They did just enough to get this corpse of a feud on the past the finish line of WrestleMania. It's just so funny to me that like once they figured it out, they went back to what didn't work, which was like which was like Jey Uso partying, asking for them to restart the music. That might have worked had Gunther not cut a promo enjoying the fact that he bathed in your brother's blood and can't wait to bathe in yours and talk to his mom about it like it was just Thursday brunch. Like, this dude is talking about murdering you and you're play my music again. God damn it, man. I want to love this feud. It's a D.
You gotta sell Yeats, dude. The Yeats were down, dude. The Yeats stocks were down. We need more Yeats. It cracks me up that I really do think that Jey Uso and the WWE are trying to find a way to Jey not to do this too much.
It looked cool. It looked cool when he was in the audience mean mugging and everyone's eating and he's not. He's just kind of like taking it in. I'm like, that looked cool as hell, right? But then they're like, restart my music, even though Gunther just talked about murdering me and my brother and taking a little lazy river in our blood.
It would be different if they established that's how Jey deals with it. They kind of did in Saturday Night Main Event when we had this argument or this debate between us, where I was like, well, that's just Jey. Jey, that's how he responds. But then when they dig into Uso Penitentiary, the right-hand man, Jey Uso, were like, okay, that's a cooler Jey that I think could beat Gunther. Just inconsistent, hot and cold. Now it's the main event of night one. Roman Reigns, CM Punk,
Rey Mysterio.
Rey Reigns. I'm gonna start this one with A-. I think what's worked for me in this entire thing is just the idea more than anything, and this is the kind of build that you don't need much. That's why I don't make it an A+. Recently in the prediction video, I'm not gonna spoil it because I think I said a banger of a situation and predicted it. That's to me that gets me the most excited for it because that build means a lot more in that if that prediction comes true, then everything of this build is worth it. If my prediction doesn't come true and it was just to have Paul Heyman screw someone over, the build is a lower grade. So I'll give it
but you can't base your grade on what could happen, right? You gotta you gotta base it on what we have, what we've been given.
I give it a B-. Okay. The reason why I give it a B- is too much focus on Heyman, not enough CM Punk and Roman Reigns and talking about Shield history. I thought they would dig more into the Shield history because it was CM Punk that brought the Shield together. I would have loved more kind of like a tit for tat play between CM Punk, Seth Rollins a little bit more. It could have been more mic time. The reason why I do like this build is because Roman Reigns came back. The tribal chief Roman Reigns. I'm here, sinister. I am toxic. Like this toxic energy that Roman has is so jovial, and he brought that in the go home with Paul Heyman. That idea where he's just like, oh, come on, Sacramento, like that's my favorite Roman Reigns. That he is just toying with people and everybody's beneath him, and he's a god amongst men. That's the only great thing I like about this Roman Reigns build. But this wasn't a good build for CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I think the only great thing about this build for CM Punk was the emotion, vulnerability of, oh my God, I'm main eventing. That was a fun moment. But Seth Rollins has been one note for a long time, except when he attacked Paul Heyman. And like I said, if my prediction comes true, it's an A+, but for me, it's a B-.
Okay. I'll go like B+. I think we've been pretty consistent on our side. You haven't loved the involvement of Paul Heyman. I didn't just love the involvement of Paul Heyman. I felt like it was necessary. And I compare this to something like Cena and Cody Rhodes, for example, where when one of those guys is missing, a key player like Cena, it's impossible to move this forward. Roman wasn't there full time. He was there a lot, but he wasn't there full time. But because of how many people are involved in this, you can still continue to push the narrative forward, even if it's just two of them in the ring. Like, for example, when it was just Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, they were able to move the dial forward of that feud. So they were able to constantly build on this feud more and more and more every single week. And I think, although I don't think this is the greatest feud ever, I do think that I got more excited about this as the weeks went on. Every single week, they built on something that got me more and more and more and more excited. And they did it right through to the go-home show on Monday Night Raw. I thought that was a great way to send us off to that match. I'll give it a B+. I was rather happy with it, and I like that they ultimately ended up using Paul Heyman as the catalyst to connect properly all three of these guys together, when before it was like, we're here together to give one, Punk his main event, and two, because Roman and Seth hate each other, and because Seth and Punk hate each other, but we couldn't find that link between Roman and Punk, and we now have. And not only did they make that link with Paul Heyman, but they've now made that link across, tie in across all three guys, which I know you're actually not a fan of.
I would say I am a fan that the WWE has figured out a way to put a lot of their main eventers in the WrestleMania card. Does that make sense? Like they did not, there's not like Seth Rollins is facing some random person lower on the card. Does that make, he's where he belongs.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I think that's interesting that they were able to figure that out. Now for night 2, we already talked about Liv Morgan's match. What would you give AJ Styles and Logan Paul? I'm going to give this just a B-, and it's only because of Karrion, because Karrion's the bridge that connects it all. Without Karrion giving this new layer to it, it would have just been a match for match sake. But the idea of Karrion basically saying what AJ Styles can't. AJ Styles is the face in this situation. And you can't really have AJ hammer Logan on this before. Because if he said, Logan, you're just a part-timer, Logan. You're not one of us. It would be the same old shtick, right? It'd be the same old, oh my God, can we just talk about something else against Logan Paul? We understand he's not a wrestler. He's his own thing. But having an outside person like a Karrion Kross rooting for AJ to win because he's like, brother, you don't understand. You are a legend. You are a TNA god. You are the Bullet Club member. You are New Japan AJ Styles. And for you to lose to Logan Paul, a YouTuber, would mess everything up for us. Like, I like that idea. And it's like it reminds me of those movies where the exposition comes in late, or like a sci-fi, like an outside character lays it all out for us. And that's what Karrion Kross did a good job in. But I think it's just a little too late in the game to add this layer, and I wish we explored it more. And Logan Paul, for me at this point in his career, is like he's so good at cheap heat. And I love cheap heat, brother. I eat that up with like a spoon. It's like my fast food of wrestling. You talk about a sports team. You talked about how people are dumb or whatever.
Too dumb to live in too stupid to not live in, not cool enough to live in LA, and too stupid to not live in San Francisco.
Good stuff. So I'll give this a B-, but it's all thanks to Karrion Kross.
See, interesting. I'm actually much lower, but not because of any, like, I don't actually disagree with anything that you said. It's just that in my mind, the stuff with Karrion Kross doesn't count as the build to WrestleMania. In my mind, that's the build for Karrion and AJ Styles,
AJ,
right? Kind of like how I was lower on the Jacob Fatu LA Knight one because I was seeing the build up not to the match, but like to something else that isn't the WrestleMania match, which is why I'm lower on this, because the actual stuff between Logan and AJ Styles has been underwhelming, right? For the most part. Like what was the biggest thing that's happened between these two guys? Like the Andrew Schultz thing. And that was more Andrew Schultz versus Logan Paul than anything. I would say that the best part of this.
From Andrew Schultz?
What?
Did you get a follow for Schultz?
I did, yeah, man.
Well, there you go.
He's trying to stay in the loop of wrestling. The best page to follow.
A+.
I like the stuff with Andrew Schultz. It's just that I didn't feel, again, that built AJ and Logan. That created a really fun dynamic between the city of New York being represented by Andrew Schultz and Logan Paul. That to me didn't build Logan Paul and AJ. Just like how this stuff with Karrion Kross to me is good, isn't building towards Logan and AJ. And I might be wrong. The way that you're reading it might be entirely correct, but I can't disassociate this. I can't disassociate the fact that the actual stuff between Logan and AJ has not been there, like, at all. So I'm going to go lower at C-.
Man, it's
Am I being mean?
No.
Okay.
You're being fair. They haven't had that much like in-ring time except Madison Square Garden, really. And the only time is like it's really short interactions and there's no like crazy DQs or anything of that sort. I thought Logan would get involved in Karrion Kross and AJ, but I think again to fit the narrative that Karrion Kross wanted to lose cleanly, I think that adds a little bit more substance to it. But there is no substance here. You can't build something great off of nothing, Santi. There's nothing here for the boys to build on. No foundation. Now going to Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio in the Fatal 4-Way for the IC title. Santi, what do you give this one, brother?
I have a hard time not giving this an A. Like, it's not the most glamorous, like, match or feud or anything like that, but for what it is, a mid-card title match, this has done wonders for everybody, if you ask me. They've done a really great job of connecting everybody. They've done a great job of even making the baby faces hate each other in Braun Breaker and Penta, and have done a great job at creating doubt amongst the fans of the two guys that should, in theory, be able to work together. Can they work together between Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio? And we know the beef between those guys and the baby faces. They've just done a really great job not overthinking this, keeping this a very simple one-dimensional storyline that has been given main event shine for many episodes of Monday Night Raw. It's been the closer. I can't not give this an A+. I have a hard time finding cracks in this storyline. Again, it's not the most glamorous. It's not the biggest stakes out there, but for what it's trying to build, an Intercontinental Championship match, this is pretty damn good. Compare it to the build, I say, lack of build of last year's IC title match, Gunther and Sami Zayn. No build at all. This is leagues above that in terms of how much they've built the champion and the contenders and the threads that interweave across all of these guys. It's been great. To me, this is actually like an A+.
You can even go back to Drew and Sheamus and Gunther. Like that was it's on that level. I feel like when it comes down to.
Oh, that's a good one. More, yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah,
it's a little bit more because of the Judgment Day attachment to it that's been brewing for such a long time. What I've enjoyed is that even though it did the typical feud building for a multi-man where everybody's going to have a single match with each other, almost, it felt like it was still unpredictable. And even when it was predictable, it was so fun. Like the idea of like, oh my God, here comes Braun Breaker, going to spear Carlito. And then they build off of that where Carlito's like, not today. He runs away. And it had a lot of highlight moments and it didn't really make everyone look bad. I like what you said is there was a potential for any one of these four to win, and you could see where they could win and how they could win. But what's much more interesting to me is that part of this build, I have to include Finn and Dominic. They've been building on this for a long time, ever since the Terror Twin days versus Judgment Day, and I think this is going to be a great like accumulation of all that, especially with Liv Morgan, kind of seeding that Dom, you're better than you think you are, you deserve more, and I like her building up her man, and that's going to be a great way to hopefully lead to the introduction of the new Judgment Day member here or at the Raw after Mania. So definitely have to agree with you, give that an A plus.
Oh, you're going to
Next
the A plus. Nice.
Yeah. Next one is Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Did we not do this in our predictions? I don't think we did.
Oh my God. All right. Well,
We
I'm going to have to go fix
Drew
that.
and
We'll have to fix
Damian.
that. We'll have to fix that.
What are we gonna do? Oh, are you gonna edit it?
I'm going to have to edit it. Yeah.
Our Patreons were able to see the sauce, how it's made. There's always one match that we forget.
Dang it. We forget one every year.
Every year, dude. We did that with LA Knight and Logan Paul. Anyway, Drew. Oh, let's just do it here, then you could just splice it in. Okay, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. I think this build, I'm going to give this a B plus. I think the saving grace of this build has been the last few brawls, and the only thing that was missing is Damian on the microphone is not on Drew's level, but Damian physically is on Drew's level. And the moments that they had with considering it's a Sin City street fight, I think is leading right into that nature of it all. I think Drew and Damian have that chemistry. They have the ability to tell a story in ring. I think their Clash of the Castle, that build for that match it's not even as close to this one. This one's a lot better, and this one surprised me as it went on. On paper, I did not like this match, but with the build, with the shenanigans of one day Drew's and wearing an eye patch, and then he's like 100% clear, with the sells from Damian Priest, and with the potential of undead Damian Priest, I'm going to give this a solid B.
Here's the thing. I still don't love the idea of this match existing. Like, why have Drew McIntyre yap about the bloodline and Roman Reigns for like 2 months and not do anything with it? We thought he was going to be this bloodline bounty hunter. It almost feels like the eye patch was meant for the bloodline bounty hunter. Doesn't it feel that way? Yeah, it almost
like
feels that way.
He was going to take Tonga Loa's eye patch.
Yeah. There's the theory of
trophy.
Breaking Bad. Do you know the theory of Breaking Bad? That every time Walter White eliminates an enemy, he takes a trait of theirs in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That if you really dissect Breaking Bad, like for example, he starts taking his whiskey neat instead of on the rocks after he kills a major character that also takes his whiskey neat. Anyways, it would have been kind of cool if like Drew McIntyre started taking some of these traits, and he takes Takaloa's eye patch.
He took the bracelet of CM Punk, and he just took Damian's cross. So I mean, there's something there about that. But what would you give the grade?
Okay, so even though I'm not thrilled by the match, the build has just been good. It has actually been good. It's just the match that nobody wanted, but in the presence of giving us a match that nobody asked for, they've done a really good job at building this match that nobody asked for. I would give this a B plus. I'm on the higher end. I'm a B plus.
Do you want to record the snippet for the predictions video that you're going to have to throw in?
We'll do it immediately after the podcast, like 2 minutes after the podcast. I don't want to include it here.
Fine. I just like showing the people that the sausage, how it's made, There's a little hair in it, but it's still good. You can still eat it. Are you the kind of person that eats, if you find a piece of hair in your food, what do you do?
If it's tiny and black, I eat it because I'm like, there's a good chance it's mine.
Yeah, you got a beard. Yeah.
If
it's a different color and it's curly.
And it's long, oof. Brother, I'm like, what is this? I if my girlfriend's there, then I might be like, this might just be hers. It's fine, not a big deal. Pull it out. But if I'm just like biting into a McDonald's burger by myself, there's no one with long hair near me, I got a problem, brother. We got a problem, and I need to talk to the manager. And I'm getting this meal for free.
Dude, what is dumb question. Is there something that you could get infected with from hair, or is it just the idea?
I don't know. I mean, like ingesting somebody's hair has DNA, and you can get sick from people's DNA.
Are you a scientist?
No. This is not financial advice.
I feel like it could be a WWE feud could stem from hair in someone's food. Dude, I want someone at catering, that'd be hilarious.
Well, we had the feud, the hair shampoo feud between Booker T and Edge for WrestleMania 18, I think it was.
If we talk about builds, like, come on. Like,
All right, let's move on to the next one.
all right, next one is going to be Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. I'll start this one. I'm just gonna give this one a C, brother. I think the issue about this is they were too repetitive 3 or 4 times in a row, and this is not on the ladies. I'm not giving this grade to the ladies. I'm giving this to WWE. They expected the women to carry something off of nothing. The idea of Bianca Belair and qualifying for the chamber and having to face Rhea Ripley as well. The idea of Io just simply not accepting, is simply just accepting. I could take both of you on. Let's do this. Having Adam Pierce come out and force the triple threat was a blunder in my eyes. There's so many missteps in this. And then at the same time, the vignette that kind of was that like, yes, okay, this was a C, was when Rhea Ripley is cutting her vignette and she's just saying the two things she said is like, when is like, oh, you Bianca out there, you in the ringside and you're this and you're that. And I was like, this just doesn't feel like Rhea cares, you know? And then she's like, I just want what's mine. And then that's the championship belt. I was like, Rhea, you lost to Io Sky. You lost. You had a bleeding heart and you lost. It's your fault. Accept it. For me, the way Rhea has looked, the way Bianca has looked, the way Io has looked, they all not look great. Io has a slight shine to her and she's looking solid, but the other two have not been looking great. They haven't, like you said it with Jade and Naomi, how they amplified themselves and they put themselves on a higher level. I feel like Rhea and Bianca have been put down a level based on the way this built. See.
I hear you. I think my biggest problem with this feud is the overcomplicated nature of this.
Yes.
I thought it was cool that Io won the title. That was so out of nowhere. That was great. Turning this into a triple threat match was really good. But then just their inability to just get to the frickin' point, specifically with Rhea Ripley, artificially elongated this feud unnecessarily. Like the adding of Rhea Ripley to the match should have just been as simple as, well, Rhea gets a rematch clause, make it at WrestleMania. Why would you make the rematch clause before WrestleMania and then add Bianca Belair as a special guest referee? That is a major conflict of interest. It's just that, like, it forced us to look at wrestling logically, and when you try to look at wrestling logically, you start to see those flaws and you start to realize how ridiculous it is. And there were just some stuff in this feud that made it really easy to see the ridiculousness of some of Adam Pearce's on-screen terrible choices. I love the fact that the feud has helped elevate Io Sky. I love the fact that we've got this heated thing going on with Rhea and Bianca Belair. But I'm more so relying on this match just delivering a good in-ring story than the actual story that they told in the lead up to this, because it was unnecessarily over convoluted. Yes, Sancho.
May I present a different idea?
Okay.
Is this the same place?
No, but go ahead.
What if they did this? What if Io and Bianca were night one, winner, and then Io says, I would face. Basically, what I'm trying to have Io being the first woman to be in 2 WrestleManias at one night, one Mania, 2 nights. So she beats Bianca in night 1, and then goes on to face Rhea in night 2. And sure, she loses, whatever. But the idea that Io is like, I'll take you, Bianca, and then the winner faces Rhea. I know that's a weird way to make Rhea the prize at the end of the tunnel. But the idea of having Io putting her over by being the first woman to compete both nights, you can even have Rhea be the one, like Rhea and Bianca face, the winner goes on to face Io. Sure, whatever. I just want that idea that there is possibilities to explore of having a woman or wrestle 2 nights in a row like they did Cody, Seth, and Roman.
Sure. Yeah, I think that could have worked. That, that's talking into the realm of shoulda, woulda, coulda. I have to talk about what we have here, and yeah, I would say B-. I think I'm a little bit higher on this feud than you are. I like some of the stuff that happened along the way. It felt like it felt like a 10,000 word essay that could have been 5,000 words. You know, it just felt like artificially inflated in terms of the length and time. And maybe the fault of it is the fact that this was a longer WrestleMania season, so they needed to stretch out this story like a Laffy Taffy as far as they possibly could.
The Laffy Taffy.
And it created for illogical scenarios to try and get us to the simple logical conclusion of Rhea, Bianca, and Io.
Why do human beings like watching taffy being made? You know,
I think I think it's just like visual stimuli. I think it's like a visual, almost like visual ASMR.
You know what blows my mind is when you go to the gym and then you go to their like cafe and they just have like the craziest foods, like eat-in diner show, and it's like the unhealthiest cholesterol food at the cafe. Isn't that crazy?
You know what I hate? Can I tell? Since we're in this at cafes, have you seen these cafes that are like, oh, here's a smoothie, and then on top of it is like an entire piece of cake. It's like, how am I supposed to eat this, brother? And then like the glass itself has like syrup, and like, am I supposed to lick the glass? What is this? This is what? Who is this made for?
Instagram, brother. Made for that IG.
It is made for the IG. You're right.
It's like when you get a burger and they serve it on a trash can lid. You're like, why? Why are we?
What are we doing here?
What are we doing here? All right, now it's time for the main event of the world. As Sati put in the predictions: Cody Rhodes versus John Cena.
When Cena is there, I was in. When Cena is not there, this feud... Look, I'll say this. When Cena is there, I think the feud is at 100. When he's not there, there's no in-between. I think it's literally 0. And it's not Cody's fault. The problem is that this storyline and this build is entirely built off of the fact that Cena did the thing, that Cena turned heel, that Cena aligned with The Rock, that Cena attacked Cody Rhodes, that Cena wants to win 17, that Cena hates the fans. It's Cena, 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 Cena. So what happens when Cena's not there? The entire driving force of this feud is not there. And it forces Cody Rhodes to try and create a narrative, which I think he created a good one, you know, trying to stop 17, trying to stop history, to allow more history to be made by the boys in the WWE. But again, it's a 100. It's either all or nothing. It's either a great feud when Cena and Cody are there, or it's like a non-existent feud that can't be moved forward when Cena is not there. So like, I'm almost like in the middle. You know, I originally did rankings of this. Like I gave letter grades as a YouTube video when the feuds were much younger. And when Cena was there every week, and I gave this an A. I can't give this an A anymore now that we've seen what this feud has become without Cena there. I have to like almost like meet it in the middle, because like I said, it's either been all or nothing. So I'll give this a C+.
John Cena writes, "No one does it alone. Worry less about being the smartest or hardest working in the room. Concentrate on making the room smarter and more hardworking."
Ooh.
I think I'm with you on that, but I think like I have to again give this grade to the WWE. They sent Cody out there when he didn't need to be out there twice, and I know that's being a very stickler for it, but that's what grading is. You got to look at everything, the whole picture. When they sent him to do his first promo alone, and he called John Cena a moron, and then people started cheering for "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks." I thought that was a misstep. When they sent him out again after destroying John Cena, like that should have been the last note in this feud. That should have been it. He gave a crossroads to John Cena. That's it. Let him gloat about that, right? Or let people go like Randy Orton of the world or the Miz of the world is like, did you just know what you just did? You think John Cena's done after giving a crossroad? You think that's it? You think you're gonna win because you beat him once? You don't understand what makes John Cena John Cena. You don't understand Mr. Hustle, loyalty, and respect. He's going to come after you, and he's not going to go down easy when it's Mania, when it's the brightest lights, when the lights are on, and it's WrestleMania. You're going up against a god out there, and I don't think you're ready for that, Cody Rhodes. You're not ready to go against them. You out here parading that you've won already, but you have not. Versus, these are my belts. Look at this belt. Look at that belt. Look at this pixelated spinner belt. That means absolutely nothing. It looks fake. Like that looked fake. Your belt looks more real than the one I saw on that show. And that's what I mean. a lot of the times when I review SmackDown, I always say it's not necessarily what was presented, it's how it's presented. Because oftentimes either a change of scenery or the change of focus of the promo could make that promo click a lot harder. And in my mind, in that promo, Cody is saying that I am the man of the people, I'm the people's champion. Cut that promo in the crowd, man. You say, come on, John, you want this belt, John? Or you're gonna have to come and take it from us. Like, that's stronger. And again, I think that WWE is not capitalizing on making John Cena a scary heel. And I would have loved if they would have brought in Miz again and brought in Randy to amplify. Like, I've seen, like, okay, on the roster, who's still there that's faced John Cena at Mania? Miz, Randy, who else?
Miz, Randy. I think that might be it.
R-Truth?
No,
He's
never. So we don't have Bray. Oh, Austin Theory, if you want to count that. Austin Theory is there. No Bray Wyatt, no Undertaker. Rusev coming back soon.
Right.
Yeah, the Miz is kind of like the last one. Randy. There's a couple.
Triple H?
Triple H has faced Cena, yeah.
Imagine, brother, if Cody is like yada talking and Triple H talks to him backstage, and he goes, "Hey man, you're ready for whatever?" And then Cody's like, yeah, I think I am. And Triple H is like, "You're not.
I remember in Chicago Mania 22, I tapped out to that man. I had him beat 7 different times, and he just wouldn't stay down."
Yeah,
he really beat the game.
Can you imagine that? You'd be like, and then they leave Cody like thinking like, okay. Now you're like, oh, okay. You know, and Triple H could have said, and that was a good guy, John Cena. Now he's a heel, and then he hits him on his back. Good luck out there. Come on, dude.
So where are you with this grade?
Give it a B.
A B.
I give it a B because we talked about it in the predictions. The first half of this build was John Cena against the world. And Cody was just like a secondary character. When Cody became the primary character and it was more about that one promo face-to-face, I thought that was great. And then when they sent him back out again, I was like, keep it. The final note should have been the Cody Crossroads on John Cena. That should have been the final thing.
All right. Well, we got one more episode of SmackDown where they might be able to do something, to give this one last little push, one last little piece of oomph with John Cena scheduled to be on Friday Night SmackDown to go home. So hopefully there's still room to maybe turn my C+ into like a B if something cool happens there. We'll see, but that's it, Sancho. Those are the grades for WrestleMania and our thoughts on the feuds. It's kind of interesting seeing it all laid out there. And I'm realizing, man, many of these matches really struggled to get going.
Yeah. I think it's more of a buffet. It's not like that 5-course meal that we're waiting for the main dish. Now we're like, oh, well, I think I'm going to chow down on some egg rolls today. And that's all I'm eating.
I'm sorry. Do you do the same voice that you do for buffets as you do for Cody Rhodes? that was your Cody Rhodes impression, but at a buffet. Well, egg rolls. What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to eat today? I gotta have the egg rolls. I cannot wait for the day if Cody Rhodes wins, and as I predicted, he will win. If he does win, I'm wondering and scouring around the world for a pro wrestler to be a real everyman, to be the man that is like, brother, I have fought for this, for everything. Think like a Briscoe from the AEW, like a real guy that's like, you think you're the people, you don't know what struggling is. Like, I want that kind of wrestler to go up against a Cody Rhodes, because Cody can't lean on this like, I wish someone will call him out on this BS that he's the people's champion. It's like, you're not one of us, Cody. Like, you think you're one of us? You're walking around wearing
a pocket watch.
You got a pocket watch. You got a tour bus. You have a neck tattoo and you're running around. You think you're one of us? You're a phony. And I know John Cena's kind of hinted at this a little bit, but I wish, imagine of a little bit of Thugonomics. John Cena came out and he's like, you think you're one of us? You don't know anything about us. Like that. And if you cut that promo in Boston, dude, that would hit hard.
Yeah. Listen, if you think that you're good at predicting wrestling and wrestling match outcomes, then you should definitely be going to MyBookie, because you can actually bet on WrestleMania results over there. And MyBookie actually lets you make the ability to make your pick before the actual matches take place, or sometimes during the actual matches as well. It's not just for sports betting as well. It's a full-fledged casino with all kinds of casino games. If you'd like to go check that out, you can on MyBookie. Now, if you are new to MyBookie, make sure that you sign up with my code Santi, you already know, so that you can get a deposit boost of up to $2,000. So don't settle for a second-rate book. Bet smarter, win bigger, only at MyBookie. Let's get you back into the video. All right, let's move on here. You know, we talked about those that are in WrestleMania. This is our WrestleMania in memorial. Yeah, those that did not make it onto the WrestleMania card. I know that you've got one particular one that really stands out to you. In one, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is missing WrestleMania yet again. Will probably be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and will probably be one of the favorites. But he's been so good recently. It is kind of a bummer to not have him at WrestleMania.
It's a bummer, man. I fell in love with Braun Strowman. And to not be able to say, I'm Braun Strowman the day of my watch party, night 1 and night 2, is a sadness. Because he did a great job at building up Bronson Reed. And if Bronson Reed was around, I think we could have easily revisit that again. And he did a great job of setting up Jacob Fatu. And he was fun just to see him with LA Knight. And I think it's so bizarre to me that it is the fickleness of a wrestling fan that he didn't change anything.
No. He did the same thing.
There's nothing that he does that's different. He didn't cut a magical promo. He didn't be like Braun 316. He didn't say Monster Motion. He didn't do any of that. He didn't. I mean, he's had banger like vertical suplexes on seemingly placed tables in the arenas. Yes, he's had crazy like spots out there and throwing people through barricades, but that's what he always does. So, yeah, it's a bummer that Braun Strowman's not around. Who's that one in your heart?
Well, the obvious answer is Chad Gable, but there's a few that come to mind. Like Carmelo Hayes missing WrestleMania is a little bit of a bummer.
As of now,
the bummer as of now is just the entirety of the SmackDown Tag Team division. I find it disappointing, especially if it ends up being the case where they don't make it on the card. The WWE would spend literally 8 months rehabilitating, reviving this dead division, bringing in new teams like the Motor City Machine Guns, a legendary tag team, to rejuvenate that division, giving screen time, matches, character developments to every team, even the members of teams that you never thought ever were gonna get character development, like Los Garza's. Like, bro, I'm into this Berto storyline, and I never thought that I would be into anything that they do with Berto and Garza from an outside of the ring perspective, and yet here we are. They even added the Bloodline at the height of their main event run into the tag team division. I've said this time and time again, they did everything right. Like 100% of the steps they took perfectly. They kept taking strides forward and making that division better and making us care, to the point where people pretty much worldwide demanded that this division, not even demanded, we were just expecting. Like, yeah, we just kind of expect that these guys are going to be on the WrestleMania card. And then for it to like not be that, to be a match between Street Profits and Motor City the night before WrestleMania, to me is just such a disservice to the great legwork that WWE has done. You know, we've talked about some divisions and some matches where WWE just has not cared. They've not tried. This has not been one of those cases. They have tried and it's worked. Everything that they've done has worked. So it's just weird to me to fumble at the 1 yard line when you did everything right. That's why I still have fingers crossed, not carrying crossed, but fingers crossed that we can still get these guys on the card in some way, shape, or form. And if you want more star power, if you feel like it's a lack of star power, throw the Miz and Carmelo Hayes in there as a tag team. Melo Dome Miz, sure, throw them in, even though they haven't been part of the Terrific 10. We can have the Terrific 12. That's fine too. That also rolls off the tongue. But that entire division deserves to be on the WrestleMania card. Not one guy or one team over the other. All of them, every single one of them. Pretty deadly. Los Garzas, DIY, Profits, Motor City. All of them deserve to be on the Mania card, and it is a shame that they're being snubbed as of now.
And I think that even though they are not on the card now. And let's say at the end of the night when this podcast does go for free, and they are added to it, I still think it was a disservice not to have them on the card early. It should have been one of those ones we could have kept building on top of, right? Where you could like, hey, we're gonna have a ladder match at Mania. All of you guys are gonna be involved. We could have had multiple matches leading up to it. The go home could have had like a traditional tag team, or they like how they always do, right? Where they put the heels on one team and the faces on the other, and they could have built it up that way, and then we could have this great ladder match. I mean, they did it before when the Hardys came back. Was it in Mania 37?
33. You're way 33. Off, brother.
Whoa, wow. I just remember that roller coaster.
It's the roller coaster mania, and I know that's 33. Roller coaster mania. And the reason, the way I remember it, roller coaster 3s kind of look like roller coaster.
Oh, you're smart.
Yeah.
And it was in Orlando too.
Yeah.
So yes, 33. How they were able, like, I'm trying to remember that build. Did they have matches all together, the tag team?
Yeah, it was like the bar. It was Enzo and Cass. It was fine. Like they deserve to be on the Mania card.
Yeah, so that's what I was hoping for again. Versus it would be crazy if Axiom and Nathan, Axiom and Fraser joined. That'd be wild as a hidden thing. But yeah, man, I feel that Mania card deserves a car crash. And what a better way to have this coming late in a car crash.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other snubs that you can think of right now?
Alexa Bliss. Big snub.
Big snub. I feel like they just brought her back way too early. Like they should have just waited until after Mania.
It felt like, from what I understand, it was like will she not sign type of vibe, and possibly she signed late and they didn't have plans for her beyond Rumble. But to get the biggest pop and not pivot, that's the strangest part to it. Like, why can't you pivot? You pivoted so many times throughout your history, and you could have had a program with Alexa. And I get so confused. There's someone in Fortnite named Alexa, and Liv Morgan. You could have had that. I know it's
that Fortnite brain rot.
Dude, you don't understand. As a caster, you have to memorize all these names. And at the time when I was casting professionally, the pro players would change their names to something stupid. So you would then go, well, that's not so and so. There's a name underneath it. Then you would have to remember and explain that to the audience. And then at the same time, it got so bad to the point where Fortnite was like, we're just going to call you whatever you have up there. So you better not change it, or you're not going to be your brand name. Anyway, the dumbest thing ever. Point I want to make is Alexa Bliss deserves to be on the card, but does she or doesn't she? Not because, let me rephrase that. I wish she was on the card. Does she deserve to be on the card? No, because she has nothing working for her, right? But I wish she was on the card because the pop is there and the momentum was there. There's a connection with the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Six are on ice. I do see her appearing after Mania, but it's a bummer that you had such goodwill and not to do anything with it. Granted, like in WrestleMania 33, the Hardys got the belts, and I kind of don't remember anything after that. Like, I really don't remember.
It was all about the pop. It was definitely all about the pop.
So yeah, I would say Bliss for me is a snub.
I would say, well, we're leaving out Randy Orton. We're just both assuming that he's going to have a match, so we're not even including him here.
He's going to punt somebody or something.
Yeah, someone's going to get got. Mr. Beast. How about instead of talking about individuals, we talk about things, that the women's mid-card titles being left off of WrestleMania entirely. That to me is weird, man. And it's not as if
Chelsea
like
Green.
Yeah, by default, that by de facto that includes Chelsea Green. But like, to me, the bigger conversation is the women's mid-card titles in general, right? Regardless of who's champions, I really thought that with this being their first year being minted, that you would have wanted to give them the Mania rub in some way, shape, or form to help make these titles, and by then default, the division, feel a lot more important. They haven't done a great job of making the divisions feel important at all in the lead up to WrestleMania. So I'm going to take a page out of your book with Alexa Bliss and say they don't deserve to be on the WrestleMania card because WWE hasn't done anything of note that could say, yeah, they deserve to be there. They've been doing a good job of building it. It's WWE's fault that that these titles don't deserve to be on the WrestleMania card.
I wonder does WrestleMania need to bring back Money in the Bank?
That'd be fun,
right? Because that would easily solve this issue of having so many like, why have Liv Morgan in a random tag match when you could have her in a Money in the Bank match? You could have Lyra in the Money in the Bank match too. Like, it would solve so many issues if they continue to build PLEs and they continue to use limited matches on PLEs, and they have this issue with the Mania this year. Maybe. I mean, Money in the Bank itself is always a strange PLE, right? Like, we're all just there for literally for that match. And you could say the same for Rumble, but I feel like Money in the Bank started at Mania. Why not bring it back to Mania? Especially, I know Drew burned it so early, but it would have been nice to see it around. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think you could. Money in the Bank has become the fourth biggest PLE of the year. Like, it's the big four. It's removed Survivor Series, so I don't like. It'd be nice, but I don't think it's a realistic thing to try in fantasy book. I don't think that the Money in the Bank PLE is going anywhere.
No, because I agree. There's a lot of money in that too. But what my point is, I'm trying to make is, I feel that the WWE has been applauded for not having meaningless matches just because. And they've always had like a random battle royal or a pre-show, something of that, just to give someone that opportunity to be on a Mania. We've had this debate before where like PLE should not be about opportunities. You should be, if your story deserves to be there, it'll be there. But in this case, Santi, I would say that there could have been a pre-show match here and there. They could have been a showcase. I think that was a great vehicle to say like, hey, yeah, we don't have a story, but at least here's a showcase of our roster, and here's a pre-show for that. So I don't know. I know that the WWE has been applauded for giving meaning to wrestling, and especially for the women's division. But I think in this instance, I wouldn't be upset if there was a showcase just because type of situation.
Something, right? Something. I think the best solution is for WWE to book something of more meaning and worth for the women's mid-card titles.
I agree.
That would be the best solution here, because then you can get away with having two title matches and making them both fatal four-ways. Boom, you got 8 women on the card. You could do that if you really wanted to, right? But at least you're getting them on the card. You're developing the division. But WWE just has, I'm just going to call it a spade a spade. They haven't done a good job and making this division feel worthy of WrestleMania. And that sucks, because there are a lot of talented women in the mid-card that, had they been given an opportunity to actually develop something, they could have developed something. And same goes with the women's tag team division. They didn't give them a chance. They got on the Mania card, but they didn't give them a chance to build something special. Sucks. It sucks. Let's move on here. At least I can't really think of any other like super major snubs. You could say Solo is a major snub with the big year that he's had if he doesn't get on the Mania card. Karrion Kross, but he's had one match in the past 5 months. I don't think that's a snub. Yeah, it's
I know Miz and Melo are definitely going to be on there.
I feel like
too. That match is going to happen.
Would you consider Rey Fenix a snub with having him debut before WrestleMania? Because I thought that if you're having him debut before WrestleMania, you'd think you'd want to showcase him at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So why debut him before Mania? Why not wait until after? Could it have been not to clash with Alistair? That could be a thing. I really thought like if they're bringing him before Mania, it's because they want to showcase him at Mania.
I think what you could assume is if this happens, if Penta does win, I don't really see that happening. It would be a reason for him to come out to celebrate with his brother.
Okay,
and you would go, "That's his brother."
Right. Sure. I guess. Yeah. I guess that could work too.
Rather than some random guy come out and celebrate.
Thank you. All right.
And again, Chad Gable, biggest snub.
Okay. Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Moving on to some post-Mania stuff. Usually after WrestleMania, we have some NXT call-ups. I think this is more my realm, I think.
Yes, that's why I put it here.
Yeah, in terms of who's ready to get called up. All right, I know people are screaming from the heavens, Trick Williams. No. Keep Trick Williams down in NXT. Do the thing that you did with Braun Breaker. Let him be heel. Let him be a different character for an extended amount of time. Let him expand his game, his repertoire. so that once he's on the main roster, he doesn't get pigeonholed to being a babyfacer. He'll let him be able to extend both sides of the morality coin. I don't want Trick Williams on the main roster. I think that the most main roster ready people are people like Ethan Page. I think Ethan Page has already done what you need to do on the main roster. He was just there for seasoning on the WWE way. You know, he was never there to learn to be a great professional wrestler or a great talker. He already was. Ricky Saints, but he's not going to get called up. Like, they're going to keep him there for a little bit longer, give him more of that WWE polish and shine. I think the most ready grouping is Axiom and Nathan Frazier. I think they're ready to honestly be the anchor of the tag team division on Monday Night Raw. I really think that's who they need to lean on to revive that absolutely dead tag team division on Monday Night Raw. From the women's side, you can make an argument for Julia. I think that you could say that she's ready, unless she's just getting there to get her English a little bit better. JC Jane, to me, has been main roster ready for a really long time, but that faction that she's in is not. Tony D'Angelo, the Don. If you're a fan of like gimmicks, right? He's a gimmick, and I think he's a gimmick like in the best kinds of ways. This mobster, I'm so curious how it would work on the main roster, if it would work at all. I would love to see what that looks like, but I think he's ready to go to the main roster. It definitely feels like a smaller pool than in previous years, and I hope it stays that way, because when they just bring up all of these people like Blair Davenport, Dijak, that you have nothing for, why call them up? I hope that they call up a couple of people and that they only get called up when they actually have something for them. You know what practice I would prefer, Sancho? If you feel like, if you're in the WWE, like if you're a WWE official and you feel like you can't do anything with this person on the main roster and you think that they're done in NXT, just fire them. Like, why call them up to then fire them? Like they've done with Baron Corbin, with Dijak. Well, not fired, sorry, not renewed, but you know, the implication is many people believe that they just didn't get re-signed because WWE didn't want them. Just don't give us, the fans, the expectation that you're going to do something with them, because when you get called up from NXT to the main roster, it feels like a promotion, and in many cases, it just feels like it's just been the death sentence of so many people. So I hope very few people get called up from NXT this wave around. That's my thoughts.
You didn't mention Jordan Grace. I know she needs a WWE seasoning.
I think that's the same Ricky Saints situation. Just got there.
But I think the difference, though, is the main roster doesn't need a Ricky Saints right now.
Fair.
The main roster doesn't need it. The women do need a Jordan Grace.
I think that's a fair point.
Right? I think Jordan Grace, out of like all their signings, the Stephanie Vackers, Zarya, and the Julia, I think she's the one that's ready more so than ever, because she's a former TNA champion. She's already appeared at Rumble twice. We're kind of familiar with her, and I think the idea of having someone that could be a great foe for Chelsea Green, it reminds me of like Hulk versus like Loki type of vibe, right? That's so exciting to watch, and the idea that, like, imagine the Secret Harvest and Jordan Grace, dude. The ideas of like Piper getting body slammed by Jordan Grace again, like all that stuff, they could revisit again and make Jordan Grace look like a unit, like they did Braun Breaker. And I think that'd be it would be a perfect time, because Chelsea Green's not doing anything right now. Zilch.
Sure. I also I didn't mention Roxanne Perez because I already kind of consider her called up.
I feel that. I want to say as well, it's interesting that there is like the canary in this coal mine is, I think Stephanie Vacker does not like Charlotte Flair, and that Charlotte Flair started doing her move on the main roster, the in between the legs type of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And I noticed that she tweeted something out that she was like, about it. That's a kind of a no-no. I mean, that is Stephanie's move, and Charlotte did it twice on TV, on the big TV.
That is Stephanie's move. It is Stephanie's move. It's Stephanie and Booker's move at this point. All right. So let's keep with the post-Mania conversation here. Post-Mania feuds. What do you got cooking in that beautiful head of yours? We know that John Cena is going to be at Backlash. let's pretend, for the sake of pretending, that Cena wins. Is it Cena Orton at Backlash?
St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's that simple.
I think it is that simple. And it's simple, but also not, because even though we've gotten this so many times and there's so much history, we've also never gotten this. We've never gotten babyface Orton versus heel Cena. That sounds something out of the Twilight realm. That just doesn't make sense for somebody that's been watching wrestling as long as I have. So it's old but new. It's a greatest hit, but it's a remix. It's a greatest hit, but we've added Ludacris to it to say Luda. You know, we've added we've remixed this. We've added Snoop Dogg to it.
Fortnite Chapter 2 remix.
Stop it. Just stop forcing Fortnite into these conversations.
Oh.
I don't know what the hell just happened. I just broke you.
No.
All right, what else you got aside from Cena, Orton? What could you see flourishing? I'll throw out divisions for you, maybe to help you.
I got one.
Okay, all right.
We talked about already AJ and Karrion. I think AJ and Karrion is going to be a fantastic showcase for Karrion Kross to finally get the burn he deserves on TV, to get a singles feud. We already see the groundwork already. The question is the WWE willing to pull the lever on that? I don't know just yet, because Karrion's doing a lot of the hard work on the timeline more than ever. And if Triple H is listening to the internet, if his burner account is on point, I think Karrion does get that AJ feud, because I know I didn't predict this, but I'm kind of changing my mind the more I talk about it and think about it. I think Logan does beat AJ, causing AJ and causing Karrion to be pissed off that AJ lost. That type of vibe. It was like, oh, it's your fault. You threw back wrestling X amount of years. Now you're going to allow YouTubers to beat you. And then AJ goes, you know what, Karrion? I'm tired of you. So... You ever been to Japan? I don't know if that's going to work with Karrion. But, yeah, man, I think that's going to be a great feud. I think going forward, I think the Kabuki Warriors are going to have a feud with Liv Morgan and Raquel at the Raw after Mania. I think that's going to be the great debut of the Kabuki Warriors. I think Liv and Raquel will have a celebration, and all of a sudden the music hits for, oh my God, to see Asuka and the jacked up Carrie Braid, brother. That's going to be amazing. Yeah.
We have some breaking news, Sancho.
Oh, breaking news. Oh my God.
Developing here. Many sources within AEW stating that there is belief that Mariah May is WWE bound by as early as the summer, that her contract was actually very, very short. And it's as early, I think it ends this summer. Summer.
Dog. People don't understand. I think she must have signed a 2-year contract, because typically AEW signs for 5 years, but she's smart. She's always wanted to be in WWE, apparently. I read that too, but the idea of Mariah May joining the roster, I think she would go to NXT first, though. I don't think they would give her that Jade Cargill treatment. I wish they would, because Mariah May and Toni Storm, by far one of the best stories outside of the WWE.
Best women's feud in the last 5 years, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Minimum. Maybe ever. Honestly, maybe ever.
It was so jarring to see such level of violence. And a lot of people give Toni Storm credit, but they don't give Mariah May credit for rising to that level. And I mean, wow, that'd be crazy. And that will, and much as I'm not a tribalist, I do observe the narratives and I do observe the threads, and the chant of Tony Fumble on NXT happening with all ego Paige and Ricky Saints. And for it to continue with Mariah May, possibly. Jesus.
Right. Oof.
But to be fair, AEW, Megan Bayne, wow.
She's awesome too. She has been absolutely awesome.
I saw her wrestle here in Austin, and I didn't hear about her. I'm in the dark, and she comes with this headdress, and like she's like a goddess. And the weird part, I never told you the story, is because it was a small venue. Some guy literally stands up and goes, "You're smoking hot," just like that. You hear him clear as day, because it's like a small crowd, and everyone goes, "Ew, dog, you're nasty." Like, shut up, sit down, you horn dog. That type of vibe. But she has an appearance, and her finisher's an F5, dude. Like,
she's a beast,
come
man.
on now.
She's an absolute beast.
Did you see Toni Storm's promo about her?
No.
She's like, she has so many thighs. It's like I'm drowning at a Thanksgiving dinner.
That's a good line. That is a good line. But yeah, I mean, like we're talking about some post-Mania stuff. Like I think Mariah May would also be NXT. Mariah May is really young. She's only 26.
Insane.
Yeah, and she would be a huge asset long term for the WWE, right? So if we're thinking long term for the WWE, NXT is probably the good route to go initially, right? Get the wheels going so that once you're unleashed on the main roster, we're talking about investing in an asset that's going to contribute to the WWE for 10 years, not 2, right?
That's it's like don't put her in the starting lineup right away. You know, you draft a rookie quarterback, keep him on the bench for a year or two.
Archie Manning,
Good
2 years behind bum ass Quinn Ewers, and then now he's about to take you guys to the promised land.
It's Arch Manning, all right? You gotta be clear. It's Arch Manning, and yes,
is he not Archie? I've always called him Archie. He's an Archie. I look at him, I'm like, oh, you look at this Archie.
In my mind, dude, I was like, we have to. It's like we're like Ron Weasley yelling at Harry Potter. We had to sacrifice one national championship for 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? Because if we threw him in there early, he could have lost, and all his momentum and mojo would have been gone. Losing,
but you only get him for 2 more years. And you might only get him for 1 because he's NFL eligible. If he has a banger season, he might just go to the NFL, brother.
Call it the Kawhi Leonard effect. I'll take it.
The Kawhi Leonard. Hey, you're preaching to the choir here, brother. Sell your soul for 1 year of glory. I get it.
You and I have been together for a good time now. We literally spend once a week all day. People don't understand this.
Like 7 hours.
I spent my
That's not an exaggeration.
all day with this man. The things I know, brother.
Yes, brother.
Yes, brother.
Don't tell them about the wreckage, brother.
But I think post Mania, of course, is Rusev. I think Rusev does appear at the Raw after Mania. I think for me, I think what ends up happening is if Braun Breaker loses, he's gonna need a feud to interject him into the World Championship picture. And I think Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker will eventually happen. I think that'd be a great SummerSlam match. And I think the great pit stop for that would be a Rusev. It would suck for Rusev fans because Rusev is so beloved in a way. And in terms of his Rusev career, Miro was so strange. But Rusev, we all liked Rusev, but for him to lose to a Braun Breaker, I don't think that would be a bad thing for Rusev. It'd be a great, hey, we're bringing you back. You got to do the job for Braun Breaker, but you're going to be a solid mid-card person with the ability to raise up to the higher cards later in your career.
So I love the idea of Rusev coming in like immediately after WrestleMania. Funny enough, I'm more interested in what Aleister Black looks like. Rusev got a chance. Rusev got an opportunity to show his thing, got a Mania feud. Aleister Black never really did. Aleister Black, the second he got on the main roster, was just like shoved away by Vince McMahon. And the second we were about to get this glasses wearing cultist, like Far Cry villain, I know you understand when I say a Far Cry villain, Aleister Black fired. And hilariously fired in a way where they forgot he didn't have a 90-day clause. He only had 30 days. So he showed up in AEW like immediately. He never got a chance properly on the main roster. And I can't wait to see what an Aleister Black under Triple H with a chance, with enough leeway, with enough runway to actually do something and try and get something off the ground, what that looks like. Because I've seen Rusev. I've seen it. I'm excited for him to come back, but I've seen it. Aleister Black, I haven't seen main roster Aleister Black. I'm excited for that.
I want Rusev to be so jovial and happy to be back, and he runs into evil John Cena. He's like, hey, it's good to see you, John. And John Cena just no-sells him. I would love R-Truth and Rusev to work together. It depends. It's going to be more the comedic Rusev Day, or is it going to be Miro the Redeemer?
I hope it's the Redeemer. Here's the thing. The Redeemer, brilliant idea, and then executed poorly in AEW.
Right.
Rusev, now what I want to see is Rusev doing the Redeemer well in WWE. I want to see that done well because the Redeemer to me had such potential that was never really untapped in AEW.
He was deep, like really weirdly deep. And I don't know, man. We'll see. I like the idea of Aleister Black. I think Aleister Black, are you talking about just meet him status quo NXT level or go beyond that?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what I want out of this Aleister Black.
We got the Gargano matches were sick.
Oh, they were sick. They were sick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want something new. I don't know if I want him to go back to what was left on the shelf that never debuted, the Far Cry villain. I don't know if I want to see House of Black. I don't know what I want with Aleister Black. And that in its own is the reason why I'm more excited about what Aleister Black is than Rusev.
Question. Do you think with the failure of the White Six, they're not dead yet. They're on life support, right? Because they need help. They need a Alexa Bliss. Do you think that with Karrion Kross now as a single, Aleister Black, that they kind of filled that void of I'm gonna manipulate you, the devil that you know. Karrion Kross calls himself that. Aleister Black and how that spookiness vibes to him, that they filled their quota for supernatural type spookiness vibe. Let me turn you heel. Because that's what Uncle Howdy was, right? Kind of let me get with your psyche. There you are. And is the baggage too heavy for Triple H to book with the Wyatt Six?
Maybe
that's 6 members,
especially considering it looks like Alistair is going to be on SmackDown, and the Wyatt Six is on SmackDown, and people are already fighting for their life to get an ounce of TV time on SmackDown, even though that show is so long and they still can't get people on TV. So maybe it might be a situation where we have a little bit too much of something that's kind of in the same niche. They're not identical. It's not, straight up supernatural, but it is. There's a Venn diagram and there's a lot of similarities there.
Same lights are off and the fog machine's on type of pyro.
Like, do you want Aleister Black to come out of the casket again?
Yeah, I do.
So sick. It's so sick.
It's so dumb. It's so sick. Because when you're in the arena, you're like, I can see him laying down there.
Well, I've always so there's some entrances like that. If you look up Carmen Petrovich's entrance, it's one of the coolest things. So it's she's got a sword, right? She's like this karate master with a sword. And her entrance is a silhouette of her in like a pink screen, and then she does like her sword maneuvers, and then she cuts through the silhouette, and then she appears. But that's just CG. So in the arena, it just looks like she's just cutting nothing.
It's like the Jurassic Park recorder.
But on TV, the entrance is freaking sick.
It's like Karrion Krosses and Scarlett's. It's the camera work that makes that entrance so much cooler.
Yeah.
Because now you just see Karrion waiting for his cue.
Is it my turn? My cue?
Oh,
man. All right. I think we can kind of start wrapping this up, talking about year 2. Like, we this is our second Mania, brother. We're not quite at the full 2 years of Wrestling at School, because we started this late August, early September of 2023. We're coming up on 2 years, but I feel like Mania is a good time to be like, yeah, this is our end of year. It kind of is our end of year.
It kind of feels that way. It's interesting. Like, I'm trying to remember, did we start when I was in California? We started talking about it.
No, you were still. I remember that we had to get creative with the booking of like one of our first 10 episodes because you were moving. I remember you moving. So you were still out in California. I was at the old apartment.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we both moved.
I want to quickly give a thank to anyone that listened and supported us, and especially our patrons. I think the support has been overwhelmingly awesome, that it's given me not necessarily hope, and hope is a strong word, but excitement for the future. It has given me an ability to showcase what I've built, gathering for years and years, and professionally and creatively, that I don't think would exist if it was in gaming or anywhere else due to algorithms and things of that sort. To have a venue and an opportunity and working with someone like yourself who has a strong community and we're building a community together, I think it's really cool, man. I think it's what every content creator wants is the ability to cater to a community that is engaging with like not with everything that with you, but that is excited to see you as well, right? And so when you fall into that, and for me, falling into that with wrestling as its core, something that's been with me since I was a child, something that when when someone big and one of my peers follows me, I go, well, you're about to get a lot of wrestling now on your feed. So it's something that is still so dear to me, and to be able to celebrate it still, and it for it to be life changing in a way of monetary reasons, it's been really cool, man. It's been really cool, and I'm so thankful that we were able to do this on a weekly basis, and I'm not sick of it. I'm not sick of it.
I mean,
Not at all.
how can you be sick of it? It's me. It's me for 7 hours in a day. But yeah, like, yeah, this has definitely been a wild journey these past like year and a bit. Like I just remember like us making the first couple of episodes to the patrons, and we had like literally like 10 patrons, but we like stuck with it. We're like, we know that we have something, we know that we are charismatic enough to grow a community, and we know that there is a demand from wrestling fans to have a community in a place, to have it be your water cooler, your outlet where you can go talk about everything that's happened, either in comment sections, in the Discord, whatever it might be. So it's just been really cool to see the community grow little by little by little. And now it's not really little by little. Like now it's a lot by a lot by a lot. We get a lot of new faces every single month. And yeah, like from the work side of things, you guys gotta, one of the things you guys gotta understand is like, as a content creator, we are benevolent, and we are in the mercy of algorithms. We are at the mercy of the time of the year. We're at the mercy of like, do advertisers want to pay anything in January because they've already used up all their budgets? So we have a roller coaster of a ride financially, that like we don't know if we're gonna be able to make ends meet one month versus another. And Patreon allows us to have stability because we're no longer at the mercy of algorithms and luck and budgets. We're at the mercy of, can we keep you guys entertained? And are we providing you enough to earn your $5? When we start seeing less of that, then we know that it's not because of algorithms. We know that it's not because of luck, bad luck, or anything. It's because we're not delivering what you want. And that's actually what's so awesome about having a vocal community, because you could just straight up tell us, we don't like this, and then we can pivot. You can straight up tell us, we want more of this, and then we can start leaning more into that. So yeah, just wanted to say that piece on my end, because it's been so valuable for me from a business perspective, but also as a actual like creative outlet to have the Patreon and the patrons as well.
I think the coolest thing for me is when I usually do shows at TwitchCon, and I've said the story here before, but I always do a show for Fortnite every year, and I host it and I cast it, whatever. I'm on the stage. And the last year's TwitchCon in San Diego, I was out there and people were there for me because of wrestling. They had signs and they were cheering for me because of the podcast. And more I go out there into my video game realms, I get people talking about me in wrestling. And I didn't think that would ever happen. I mean, as a content creator, I'm working through a lot of obstacles that I have to overcome that have appeared throughout my time. And to see something that we started a year and a half ago with a Discord call and one session of playing AEW Battle Royale together, and to see that to manifest itself into a human being saying like, hey man, I love your stuff, freaking crazy. And then it goes into the wrestling signs at the shows. We just had one on the Raw Go Home at the very, like I saw it in Gunther's promo, and that he was bathing in blood. Immediately after, I see the wrestling school and it's your dumb face and my dumb face on the sign. I'm like, that's awesome, dude. It's like we are crossing into the realm, and I'm excited to know I'm getting reached out by like opportunities for wrestling, which is crazy. And those hopefully they'll manifest into something real. We've had strange conversations with strange people in a sense of like we don't deserve to be at this table, but we're here. The wrestling is cool. Me and Santi. And some of it has manifested to stuff that you may have seen, and some of it has just disappeared, which is still it's the way business goes with content creating, honestly. Regardless, we always have big things. We Santi and I always ask ourselves every week and or once a month or so, we go, what can we be doing better? Where can we provide the best value? Are we overdoing it here and there? So, it's really cool, man. It's really cool. And I think it's funny because Santi and I had this conversation earlier. We were like, dog, we're going to have a lull period. We got to figure out what we need to do. But no, it's been all gas and it just keeps growing and growing because usually there's a time before Mania and there's like a lull period, like with Christmas. We're like, nothing's going to happen. But dude, we've been working nonstop. Nonstop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've posted daily on the Patreon now for almost since like Mania 40. I think when we expanded and started doing Match Club, that we've had a piece of content pretty much every single day for patrons. Yeah, it's been a wild, awesome journey. But
sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back a little bit.
So
like Triple H said that. He said Vince McMahon never celebrated his victories. Well, we're here to celebrate ours as a community.
So I'm gonna put myself the game into the Hall of Fame.
No, I'm gonna say this here: the immortal matches are stupid. It's a dumb idea. I hate it.
All right.
It's just a way to double dip the legends.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels is gonna be there a whole bunch.
You're right.
Every year.
Right? I made the joke that's like Ryan Reynolds talking to Hugh Jackman. We're gonna keep you to your 90. Undertaker gonna have to show up to these Hall of Fame every year. But it's kind of it's strange to me to go like this match is immortal. I guess it makes sense because they have that in the NFL Hall of Fame, like the greatest games ever.
I didn't know that they did that. I didn't know that.
I'm assuming that they do. It sounds like something that.
Oh, so he just made that up,
and like the WWE, they just made it up.
All right, let's get to new heat order. Yeah, let's do it.
The people want the new heat order.
All three of you.
All three of you. Last week's New Year order was like this, made out of lipstick almost. Where are you going, Santi?
I'm the queen.
That's the kind of. I'm the queen. Oh, hell, the queen. Number 10, Dom. Number 9, Grande Americano. Number 8, Rey Fenix. Number 7, Braun Breaker. Number 6, CM Punk. Number 5, Jey Uso. Number 4, Kevin Owens. Number 3, Paul Heyman. Number 2, Charlotte. And number 1, Tiffy Time. Can I put number 1?
Go ahead. What do you got?
Karrion Kross.
No.
Oh.
Are you crazy? No. He might be on the list, but he's not number 1.
Usually you check out at this time and I could get one by you.
No.
Like we're playing like a little hockey, you know what I mean? Like a little puck hockey.
How about, I think it's Paul Heyman. Between everything that's been going on, I think it's Paul Heyman.
He got pie faced by Roman. I was like, dude, that was a sick callback, right? Seth Rollins with the Shield chair.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
It almost felt like that. This was always meant to be the Shield triple threat.
Right. If Dean Ambrose was here, right?
Yeah. I would go Paul Heyman number 1. Shoot, Sancho, don't ruin this list. I just have to go to the door real quick.
Karrion Kross at number 1. You know what? Number 2, LA Knight, brother. Talk about a great guy. LA Knight, great set of hair. Looking great. Had a great tag match with Randy Orton. Oh, wow. Talk about a mid-carder stepping up to the legacy of Randy Orton. Talk about a W. And then at number 3, Braun Strowman. What a nice guy to be able to sacrifice his spot on WrestleMania card to put Jacob Fatu up there. And then you know what? At number 4, we got Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio putting over a Grande Americano. Why not? You know what? Why not AJ Styles at number 5? I wish he still said, hey, Logan, you ever been to Japan? And then number 6. Let's see, who at number 6? So many options are at 6. I can't believe Santi and I forgot Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. What a wild thing to do. And we literally, I kid you not, we sat there and we were about to record. We're like, all right, let's pull up the wiki, make sure we don't miss any matches. And I had my own notes. And as we're doing the show, I see it right there. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, because it's always about you, Seth.
All right.
What's number 2?
So did you gave me Paul Heyman?
Yeah, I gave you Heyman.
Seth Rollins, maybe.
I like Seth Rollins, and I like that idea because he gave me a sliver of the architect on the go home.
I feel that.
I was like, ooh, where have you been all my life, Seth Rollins? I had this dumb idea that Becky Lynch was going to help Dominic Mysterio. Don't know why. Just had a passing thought.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Well, that's why I said it's a dumb thought. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just reassuring you that it was indeed dumb.
Good. It's like what was that Jim Carrey and as Dr. Robotnik? I wasn't expecting anything, but I was expecting that. So
yes. What about can we get like Randy Orton? This conversation about who he's going to face, the Nick Aldis stuff, or do we just straight up want to do Seth Roman Punk?
I think what's so cool about I'll put Roman over Punk because Roman got back to his old school tribal chief ways. That was sick.
I'm just looking at my old clips to see what kind of stands out here. SmackDown was a pretty big dud. Honestly, this Raw was a pretty big dud too.
Yeah, it was. Do you want to put LWO on there? Grande Americano?
I'd have AJ Styles above them.
Karrion Kross at 10?
I feel comfortable carrying Cross in like anywhere from 6 to 10.
Okay, how about at 7?
Sure, I can give you Karrion at 7.
Well, okay, how about this? Let's answer this. Was there anything that was kind of cold that got a little bit hotter for Mania these past two?
Yeah, Tiffany and Charlotte, the beatdown, all that stuff.
Can I put Charlotte at 5? I like that.
Okay, put it.
Street clothes Charlotte. Oh, hell, the queen.
Stop it. Stop it.
It's a little earworm there, right?
I hate it. Yeah. It lingers.
Whatever happened to that guy? Remember that guy, Corpse? What happened to him?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know who Corpse is?
No.
He had that deep voice. He ran with like the Valkyrie Rays and the Pokies of the world during the Among Us days. Well,
I don't know, bro.
He had a deep voice. It was like, oh, hell, the queen.
Was that actually his voice, or did he?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It was.
Right.
I mean,
I'd have to hear it or see it. I just don't remember right now. I'm in pumpkin territory, so.
Oh no!
I'm withering. I'm wilting.
This is a triple pumpkin because we already worked an hour.
Yeah, hour 20 minutes. Don't belittle it. It was an extra 20 minutes in there, so we're technically an hour like 4.
We have to re-record, and then you have to edit
because
we botched.
What? Oh hell!
Okay. Oh hell, queen.
I hate how you say queen. It's so deep.
The song has it, dude. And then I was like, win it. Number 6. Naomi. They had good vignettes, Naomi and Jade.
Yeah, just a vignette though.
Yeah, I know.
What about Cody? Cody, that promo was pretty good.
I'll put him at an 8.
Okay.
Because it was still a bad idea to send Cody out there to do nothing. See Cody. Do you want to put Nick Aldis on 6?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, give me Nick Aldis. That's good. That's good.
I broke the Crayola.
The Crayola.
Here we go. Here's the list so far. Those are these expensive graphics. We have Paul Heyman.
Why do you only have Crayolas? Why don't you have a pencil or a pen like an adult?
3, Roman Reigns. 4, CM Punk. I would argue having crayons makes me an adult. Number 5, Charlotte Flair. Number 6, Nick Aldis. Number 7, Karrion Kross. Number 9, Cody Rhodes. So who's at 9? No, I mean 8, Cody Rhodes. Who's 9 and 10?
Did you already put Karrion?
Mm-hmm.
I'd put Rey Mysterio. Solid match against Julius Creed. Good build up with El Grande Americano, and maybe El Grande Americano at 10.
I like the idea of them introducing the loaded mask. That's fun.
That's cool. I mean, it
What about
it
Dom?
doesn't.
What about Braun Breaker at 10?
Sure. But the loaded mask. The loaded mask,
Yeah.
I want to talk about that for a second because, like, what are the physics of that? How does it only hurt the other person and not you?
I would say it's like the same thing as a spear. Why doesn't the spear hurt you and not the other person?
Because of where you're hitting them. Because of where you're hitting them.
You're initiating the spear. Oh, I see what you're saying.
You're just hitting your shoulder. You're hitting their gut. That makes sense. But you're both hitting your heads. You're both hitting your heads.
Who am I?
You're the little cousin I accidentally hurt in the playground.
Dog. Okay.
Yeah, you can put
10.
Braun Breaker.
Yeah, dude. The double spear was sick.
And Carlito running away from him. That was great too.
And then him showing up looking like a badass in jeans.
Good stuff.
He needs to cut a Steiner promo though after he beat someone down.
Dude, I thought it was the perfect time going into Mania in a fatal 4-way where there's 4 guys.
Yeah.
For him to cut a Steiner math promo.
See, there's 4 of you. That's all he had to say.
Yeah, man. And if you add Carlito into the mix.
It gives me less of a chance to win. Number 10, Braun Breaker. Number 9, Rey Mysterio. Number 8, Cody Rhodes. Number 7, Karrion Kross. Number 6, Nick Aldis. Number 5, Charlotte Flair. Number 4, CM Punk. Number 3, Roman Reigns. Number 2, Seth Rollins. And number 1, Paul Heyman. I'm telling you, dude, if my prediction comes true, brother, what a great ending, right?
That would be great.
Yeah.
I would love that. That'd be kind of cool. All right. Well, folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. Don't forget, we did upload those predictions, an extra hour and 25 minutes of content. Go check it out. But an extra special thank you goes out to our $15 patrons. Not only do they get the monthly movie night with Sancho and myself, but they also get their name read out at the end of every episode of the podcast as our producers.
Supposed to die.
So thank you goes to El Grande Americano is the greatest WWE signee. First Patreon, I Crazy Dude says Santi is off the stack strain. Abdullah Kaja, Adam Pacina, Aiden S, Alex Regal, Alan the Teflon Don, Amado BC Latino in Spain, American Nightmare Cody Lander, Andrew, Anita Maxwin, Anthony A, Antonio Arjona, Antony Arrogance, Ashley Asperlitz, Ozzy Kingslayer, Austin Gregory, Authentic Chocolate, Bailey Saunders, BFT is the skull crushing finale with less steps, Be Hostile, Big Man Bob, Blast Pass 64, Bluefish, Brad Sharp, Brady Keaton, Brandon Finley, Fribley, Brody Cyphers, Bryce Bird, Caleb Hurley, Caleb Williams, Cameron Noel, Cameron Waring, Cameron Talks WWE, Carlos Gonzalez, CB, Cena, Cody, Double Turn at Mania, Chase Rose, Chimchar Collectibles, Chris Butner Lucas, Chris Estes, Chris Eric Clark Jr., Christian Billick, Clay, CM Drunk, Colby Mayo, Colin Ketchum, Colin Roach, Conductor of the Pentatrain, Connor Fitzsimmons, Cool Whip Tim, Sci-Fi, Dalton Dunbar, Danny Lamp, Danny Gunk, Darren Dunstan, Derek Barnhart, Devin Geertz, DG316, Dylan Stapleton, D. Lopez, Dom Should Win Everything, Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, Drew Ashford, Dumsky, Dylan Areola, Earnhardt Jr., Eduardo Silva, El Joshi, El Ferreira, Eric Ruiz Romero, Aaron Thorne, Everybody Loves Henry Ramon, oh that Henry, Extreme Madness 98, Isaac Smell Mop Who, damn it, you got me with Smell Mop Who. He spelt it Smell Mop Who. God damn it. Fishing.
Isn't it crazy that Katy Perry went to space and you have it?
Yeah, man, that's insane. Anyways, I almost read that again. Fishing with Papa J, Fletcher Walpole, Floating, FMFCMA, Forever Wrestling, Fruitful Vibes, Gamerscape, George Valdez, Gilbert Deans, Goatman of Cheese, Gunther Killed My Brother Oos, GXA Man, Heartfelt, Henry Ramone laid off my father in the recession. The lore of Henry Ramone continues. Hey Shakes, Hody Cam. I'm Rick James, bitch. I'm McNugget. Oh, sorry, Ian McNugget. I'm Braun Strowman. Isaiah Rodriguez. It's a David. It's Mista. It's Astro Kid. It's Christian. I'm Braun Strowman. Jag Gable, Jackson, Jacob Mueller, Jacob Pena, Jacob Staffel, Jaden Solomon Jones, Jake Shavoya, Jacob Kufis, James Brian Balago, Jason De Dios, Javier Rodriguez, Jalen Steele, Javion McDuffel, Jay Angel, JC Worley, Carlos Capellan, Jeremiah Finley, Jahihi, Ahihi, JJ, Joe Velez, Joe Romig, John Pork, Jordan Lynch, Josby, Jose Ceja, Juicy J, Julian Safi, Justin Brooks, Justin Perkins, Caden Rivers, Caleb Martin, Kevin Baga, Kurt Angle screaming, yeah, Kuwaiti Rig Boogs. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Let Papa H Poop.
That's how you scream, remember?
Oh, God, yes. Liam, Lil Shifu, Luis Aguilar, Luke Parker, Luke Sika, Manly Man, Mark Guy, Marnie YCSM, Matthew Dollar, Matthew Oberg, Matthew Watkins, Mossy, Max Dupree, McQueen X, Mackay, Meredith Lee, Michael Purnell, Michael Paz, Michael Vera, Miguel Paredes, Mikey Rada, Mitchell X, Muhammad Albanai. My dad may come back with a Finn Balor singles push. My dad, Yeet Oos, Nellen Zach, Nicholas Kyle, Nighthawk, Nina Ure, NyQuil Pad, Noah Booth, Noah Burton, Obi Nobi, Oil Up Now Santi 69, Oliver Hammonds, Osama Awad, Parker Moore, Pat R, Pat McMark, Pig Nuts, Pim Caw, Preston Smith, Frody, Puke 1904, Puppet Spanker Johnson, R3 Mix, Randy Cooper, Rawest of All Daddies, Reaper God, Retriever for Life, Ricardo Ramirez, Rick Marr, Ricky Dutcher, Robert Rogers, Rock Block CJ, Rocky B, Rice Ruffo, Riley, Ced Vega, Sam Duke. Sancho doesn't get a safe place. Sancho is always right. Santi lives in Canada. Ha ha ha. Pointing laughing emoji. Santi is the love child of Cena. Santi, Sancho Santi. Santi's $300 traffic ticket. Sauce God, Saudi Rig Boogs, Scarlet K, Scotty Bear 92, Screamo Scott, Semba, Seymour Butts, Shaggy, Shane, Shitstain Nakamura, Sip God, Sir Alberton, Slime Manny 00, Slowtoke Rodriguez, Stephanie Vaquer, Lookalike Contest in My Bedroom, Stucky, Sugar Shane, Super Malachi Galaxy, Taco Bullfish, Tammin Bryant, Tanner Cloudis, The Final Pebble, Timmy Fitzmaurice, Toasty, Tobias Burnett, Tom Lehman, Trent Head, Trevor Harder, Two Slapped Cupid, Twan Slapped Cupid, Tyler Free, Tyler Logan, Tyler McGarry, Vegan Penguin, Venom, Vin Diesel is the only one that can beat Cena, Juan Pablo III, Whaler 30. When will Wrestling is Cool fans, when will Wrestling is Cool take fan calls during the podcast? I don't know. Where's that referee? The Rock's trying to fuck me. White Mexican, William Martinez, William Newton, Willie Cecil, WWE Undisputed Dumbass Sir Nightmares, Avian D. Lewis, Javier Izquierdo, Zax Mira, Deadshot, you stupid, my Reeves. That's Zach Griffin, Zach Hewitt, Zach Butcher, Zay2K, Zergzito, and Lord BB and J. Thank you all for supporting the podcast at the $15 tier. Thank you all very much for watching and listening to this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. You folks take care, be wonderful people, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.